Welcome to part 6, launching and exploring the dashboard. Now that we've created our virtual environment, we can launch our dashboard and then explore all of its features. So I'm going to begin over here in a new terminal. And the first thing to do, as always, is to cd into our project directory, which we've done multiple times. So I'm just going to run the cd command and go into that project directory. And when I list out the contents, you can see that these are all the files for the dashboard. What we're looking for is this dashboard.py file. That's the one that contains our Dash application that we will be running. Now, before we can launch it, we need to make sure our virtual environment is activated. I currently have my Conda default environment activated. So let's go ahead and deactivate the Conda environment if you are running Conda. And then activate our virtual environment right here. So we're going to run this source command, which we are quite used to right now. So this will activate our dashboard_ven virtual environment. And now when it's activated, then we can launch our dashboard. And the way to do it is very simple. You just type in Python and then dashboard.py, and that will launch it. So let's go ahead and enter that in. And when you execute this command, you'll see a lot of text on the screen. So let me explain what's going on. The first bit tells you the URL where it's located. So we will visit this URL in just a second. Then it tells you that there's a warning and that this is a development server and not to use it in a production deployment. So you can ignore this warning for now. When we do deploy this on a remote server, we won't be using this simple method for deployment. We're going to be using a more complex method that will be covered in that section. So don't worry, this warning will get taken care of in the very final chapter of this course. All right, so what we can do now is just visit our dashboard. So here's its URL. This is your local host IP at this port 8050. Now you can just copy and paste this into your browser. Some terminals allow you to press Control or Command and then double click on the URL and it will navigate there. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to maximize the browser. So here we go. Here is our dashboard. And I'm going to cover all of the components of it. First of all, notice the date when it was last updated. So this might be different whenever you take the course. Whenever I update the material, I might update the underlying data for the dashboard. So if that happens, you'll see a different date up here, but it's nothing to fret about. It just means that you'll see, more data over here. So there are three main components of the dashboard. There is this table of data, which contains cases and deaths for all countries in the world. And there'll be a tab above there, so you can switch between all countries of the world and then also US states. So you can go back and forth between world and US states. And what you'll notice is that by default, the countries are sorted by the total number of deaths. So whenever you take this course, it'll probably still be the United States. It's been number one for a while in total deaths and will probably continue to be so for some time. For US states, it'll be a little bit different. California is number one right now, but that could possibly change in the future. Let's just keep it on the World tab. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see in a visual form, deaths and cases for the entire span of the pandemic. So you can see both what's actually happened in blue and then predicted values in orange. So right here is the cumulative view. So these are the total number of deaths or cases to have occurred. You can look at the daily by clicking on the daily tab. So that'll give you a different view. Keep in mind, yes, orange is prediction, blue is what has actually happened. And then you get a weekly view and you can see just the total for each week like that. And then obviously when you move your mouse over each week or each day, you'll see the value for that particular day. Now the last component is down here is the map, the maps that are the colored maps, and this changes whether you're on the World tab or the USA tab. So if you click on the USA tab, you'll get a visual of the United States. The World tab, you'll get the entire world. So the colors over here are based on the number of deaths, cases, deaths per million or cases per million, and you can change them. You can color them by a different value. If you want to make it more equitable to all countries or states, you can use the per million. So there's deaths per million and cases per million. So that's that. And then over here, importantly, is that you can change the country or state that is used over here at the graphs. So by default, it will just be the top one. So the USA currently, or California. But you can click any country you'd like, say, for instance, India, and then you'll get India's data, both the actual and predicted values. Maybe you want to look at the United Kingdom. It's like that. Here are the US states. There's California, there's Texas, and so forth. So you should notice that when you hover over a name, the mouse will turn into that little pointer hand. That's indicating that you can click it. It's also underlined. And then the current clicked value is the one that is highlighted in red, a reddish pink color. Oh, also on the table is that you can sort the values by any of the columns. So that makes it nice to find certain, or discover certain pieces of information. And so that is it. It's a fairly simple dashboard, but it does display a lot of information. And you can, there's around 200 countries. There's 57 or so U.S. states and territories. So there's a lot of information on here to explore, and a lot of time has passed during the pandemic, so you can see, the trajectory of, all of these areas. One final thing is these little cards over here on the left-hand side. This just has the total number of worldwide deaths and cases, so that just sums up all of the world, and then predicted values for worldwide deaths and cases at the very last date of our prediction. Okay, so that is our coronavirus forecasting dashboard and all of its components. I guess one last thing is if you do put your mouse over here on a country or a state, you will get that particular country or that particular area's values. So that's nice. You don't have to go back and forth between the table. You can just look at it in the graph. If you'd like to stop the dashboard, flip on back over to your terminal and then enter Control-C, and that should stop it. So Control-C, and it will stop the dashboard and bring you back to your command prompt. Okay, so that's it for launching and exploring the dashboard.